Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to discuss a very interesting and even controversial topic in the K-pop industry. A topic that might make some of you think, wait, what? How can success be a problem? Yes, we're going to talk about Jimin from BTS and how his extraordinary solo brand power actually creates a complex dilemma for HYBE Corporation. And trust me, this isn't clickbait. There are very interesting business dynamics behind all of this that we need to understand. So grab your snacks, settle down, and let's dive deep into this phenomenon. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell because content like this requires a lot of research, and we need your support. Let's start with an undeniable fact. Jimin is one of the most powerful brand ambassadors in the world right now. We're not just talking within the context of K-pop. We're talking in the context of the global luxury fashion industry. Since being announced as global brand ambassador for Christian Dior in January 2023, Jimin has generated truly mind-blowing numbers. And this isn't hype or exaggeration from fans. This is concrete data from Launch Metrics, one of the most prominent fashion analytics firms in the world. When Jimin first attended Dior Men's Fashion Week in Paris as brand ambassador, he generated $17 million in earned media value, or EMV, from just 2 of his Instagram posts. $17 million. Guys, from 2 posts. What's even crazier, those 2 posts contributed 54% of Dior's total EMV during the entire Paris Men's Fashion Week. That means Jimin alone generated more than half of the media value the brand earned during the most prestigious fashion event in the world. Dior's EMV increased 370% after the partnership with Jimin began. This number is more than double their closest competitor, Saint Laurent, which was in second position. And Jimin, he was crowned the biggest city influencer, surpassing global celebrities like Kylie Jenner and Rosalia. Fast forward to October 2025, after Jimin returned from military service and attended the Dior Spring-Summer 2026 Women's Fashion Show in Paris. Guess what happened? He generated $33.8 million in MIV. $33.8 million. This figure made Jimin the K-pop idol with the highest media impact value across all fashion weeks in 2025, including Paris, Milan, London, and New York. And the most memorable thing about that appearance was his open jacket look, which immediately went viral worldwide. And you know what? That was Jimin's own idea. In his birthday live stream on Weverse, Jimin revealed, "I was so nervous. This was my first schedule in almost 2 years, and this was the first time showing myself to all of you, so I had to look good, right?" The dedication, guys, the professionalism. This isn't just about looking good. This is about understanding brand value, visual impact, and creating moments that resonate globally. But Jimin's partnerships aren't just with Dior. He's also been Global House Ambassador for Tiffany & Co. since March 2023. And again, his impact was immediate and massive. When Tiffany & Co. reopened their flagship store, the Landmark on 5th Avenue, New York, in April 2023, Jimin attended wearing a Dior suit and flower-shaped brooch from Tiffany. The event, which featured a performance from Katy Perry, instantly became one of the most talked-about luxury brand events of that year. The This Is Tiffany campaign featuring Jimin alongside Zoe Kravitz and Gal Gadot generated extraordinary engagement rates. And every piece of jewelry he wore sold out, literally sold out. This is a manifestation of what fans call the Jimin Effect. Whatever he wears, mentions, or endorses, from fashion items to perfumes, from accessories to skincare, immediately experiences an explosive surge in demand. Jimin's net worth in 2025 is estimated to be in the range of $50 to $60 million. And this comes from various sources: BTS group activities, solo music projects, brand endorsements, real estate investments, and HYBE shares whose value increased significantly after the IPO. But what makes Jimin unique is that most of his wealth in recent years comes from his individual brand power. Partnerships with Dior and Tiffany and Co. alone generate income in the tens of millions of dollars per year, not including the impact from his solo music projects. His debut solo album, Face, released in March 2023, was a massive success. Lead's single, Like Crazy, became the first song by a Korean solo artist to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This was a historic achievement that even senior K-pop soloists had never accomplished. His second album, Muse, released in 2024, also dominated charts worldwide. Title track, Who, topped the Billboard Global 200 and set multiple streaming records. Jimin currently holds a Guinness World Record as the fastest Korean solo artist to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify. So with all these incredible achievements, why am I saying this creates a dilemma for HYBE? Well, here's where things get complex. HYBE Corporation, as we know, is an entertainment company that went public in October 2020. Since the IPO, their company valuation has been largely determined by investor confidence, quarterly revenue, and most importantly, their diversification strategy. Chairman Bang Si-hyuk, since 2022, has been promoting HYBE as a 360-degree business comparable to Disney. His vision is to transform HYBE into an IP-driven empire spanning music, technology, and fandom platforms. He even described HYBE as half a tech company, with the goal of becoming self-sustaining and not reliant on any single artist. Sounds great, right? Diversification is a sound business strategy. But here's the problem. Despite all these diversification efforts, HYBE is still heavily dependent on BTS and the solo activities of its members. Data from Q2 of 2025 shows that 63% of HYBE's record quarterly revenue of 705.6 billion won came from direct artist activities such as concerts and album sales. And guess what? The majority of those artist activities were from BTS members. J-Hope's Hope on the Stage World Tour alone accounted for almost 40% of HYBE's concert revenue in Q2. Jin's solo tour, Run Seejin, which ran from June to November 2025 with 20 concerts in 10 cities, attracted 330,000 fans and became the single biggest contributor to HYBE's concert revenue in Q3. And now, with Jimin's brand power continuing to explode, especially with his luxury brand partnerships, HYBE faces an interesting paradox. On one hand, Jimin's success is incredibly beneficial for HYBE. Every time Jimin makes headlines with Dior or Tiffany campaigns, HYBE's brand value increases. When Like Crazy hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, HYBE's stock price rose. When Jimin's, who dominated streaming charts, investor confidence in HYBE strengthened. Jimin's brand partnerships also indirectly benefit HYBE because they raise the perceived value of all BTS members. If Jimin can command partnerships with top-tier luxury brands, it elevates the status of the entire group and, by extension, HYBE's negotiating power for future deals. But on the other hand, here's the dilemma. The more powerful Jimin's individual brand becomes, the more apparent it becomes that HYBE's profitability is still tied to individual BTS members rather than the diversified portfolio they claim to be building. Analysts from Hyundai Motor Securities have pointed out that despite HYBE's investment in new groups like New Jeans, Cat's Eye, Tomorrow X Together, LE Seraphim, and others, NOACT has been able to match BTS's sales power. New Jeans, which emerged as a next-generation K-pop standout since 2022, is currently sidelined due to an ongoing legal dispute with HYBE subsidiary HYBE America's Cat's Eye. a joint project with Geffen Records, showed promise by placing 2 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 within their first year of debut. But their financial impact is still relatively small compared to a single BTS member's solo activities. The numbers don't lie. When HYBE reports quarterly earnings, the majority of profits still come from direct artist activities, particularly those associated with BTS members. This raises serious questions about the viability of the diversification strategy that has been promoted for years. For investors and shareholders, this creates uncertainty. They invested in HYBE with the promise that the company would become a Disney-like entertainment conglomerate with multiple revenue streams that don't rely on a single group or individual. But reality shows that the company's financial health is still heavily dependent on BTS. And Jimin's exploding brand power actually highlights this dependency rather than solving it. Every time Jimin achieves another milestone, it reinforces the narrative that HYBE needs BTS members more than the diversified portfolio they claim to have. There's also another layer to this dilemma: contract negotiations and profit distribution. With brand power this large, Jimin and other BTS members are in strong negotiating positions when their contracts need renewal. They could potentially demand higher profit shares, more creative control, or even better terms for their solo activities. HYBE's current business model relies on a relatively standard K-pop profit distribution, where the company takes a significant cut of artist earnings. But with members who have individual brand power comparable to or even exceeding entire groups from other companies, this traditional model might not be sustainable. Imagine this scenario: Jimin with his Dior and Tiffany partnerships, Jungkook with Calvin Klein, and Chanel V with Celine and Cartier, RM with Bottega Veneta. These members individually have leverage that's unprecedented in K-pop history. If they decide to renegotiate terms or even pursue more independent career paths while still being part of BTS, what happens to HYBE's business model? This is a real concern for company management and shareholders. There's historical precedent for this. Look at what happened with JYP Entertainment and GOT7. Members departed from the company but retained rights to the group name and continued as a group under different management. Or SM Entertainment, with multiple member departures that significantly impacted company value. HYBE obviously learned from these cases, which is why they structured BTS's contracts carefully and invested heavily in member relationship management. But the power dynamics have shifted. Members aren't powerless trainees anymore. They're global superstars with individual leverage. Another aspect of this dilemma is public perception and media narrative. Every time HYBE reports earnings, and the majority of profits clearly come from BTS activities, the media will highlight this. Headlines like, HYBE still heavily reliant on BTS despite diversification claims, or BTS members account for majority of HYBE profits, aren't good looks for a company trying to position itself as a diversified entertainment powerhouse. This narrative affects investor confidence, stock price, and ultimately the company's ability to secure investments or partnerships for other projects. It creates a vicious cycle where HYBE needs BTS's success to fund diversification, but that very success highlights their lack of successful diversification. Plus, there's competitive pressure. Other entertainment companies are watching closely. If they see that individual BTS members have this much brand power and market value, they might try to poach members with extremely lucrative offers when contracts expire. While loyalty to HYBE and Bang Si-hyuk is strong, business is business, and astronomical offers could potentially sway decisions. Now, let me be very clear about something important. None of this is Jimin's fault or problem. He's simply doing his job exceptionally well. His success is the result of talent, hard work, professionalism, and genuine connection with brands and fans. He should absolutely be celebrated for his achievements. The dilemma isn't Jimin is too successful. The dilemma is HYBE's business model hasn't evolved at the same pace as their artists' individual brand power has grown. That's a structural issue with company strategy, not an issue with artist success. So what can HYBE do about this dilemma? Well, they have several options, though none are perfect solutions. Option 1 is to embrace the reality and adjust investor communications. Instead of overpromising on diversification, be transparent that BTS and members' solo activities will continue to be major revenue drivers for the foreseeable future. And that's actually okay. Frame it as having a proven, reliable income source rather than a concerning dependency. Option 2 is to accelerate investment in developing next-generation acts that can actually compete with BTS's commercial power. This means not just financial investment, but also giving new groups resources, creative freedom, and promotional support comparable to what BTS received. Option 3 is to restructure profit-sharing models to reflect the new reality of member brand power. Offer members more favorable terms in exchange for longer contract commitments or exclusivity clauses that protect HYBE's interests, while fairly compensating members for their individual value. Option 4 is to lean into solo activities as a legitimate business strategy. Instead of treating member solo projects as a temporary measure during military service, position them as an integral part of HYBE's long-term business model. Create dedicated divisions for managing individual member brands with resources comparable to full groups. Option 5 is to explore new revenue streams that leverage member brand power without depending solely on direct artist activities. For example, Jimin's fashion influence could be channeled into HYBE-owned fashion or beauty lines. His production capabilities could be developed into a new revenue stream through producing for other artists. The reality is HYBE probably needs to pursue a combination of all these strategies simultaneously. There's no single solution to the structural challenge they're facing. Looking forward, with BTS comeback scheduled for spring 2026, HYBE will face another critical moment. When all 7 members are actively promoting together again, revenue numbers will skyrocket, but that will also make the dependency on the group even more apparent. The question then becomes, how does HYBE use that windfall? Do they invest it wisely in truly diversifying the business? Do they use it to secure longer-term commitments from members? Do they use it to scale up existing projects that haven't yet reached profitability? These decisions will determine whether HYBE successfully evolves beyond current dependency or whether they remain primarily a BTS-focused company with other ventures on the side. For Jimin, specifically, his trajectory in the coming years will be fascinating to watch. His brand power shows no signs of slowing down. With BTS comeback approaching, solo music projects planned, and continued luxury brand partnerships, he's positioned to become even more influential in the global entertainment and fashion landscape. But with that increased power comes increased scrutiny, not of his work, but of how his success impacts broader business dynamics in the K-pop industry. He's literally rewriting the playbook for what a K-pop idol can achieve individually while still being part of a group. Before we close, let me address the potential elephant in the room. Some of you might be thinking, isn't this just making drama out of a non-issue? HYBE is a successful company. BTS is a successful group. Members are doing great solo. What's the problem? And you know what? That's a fair question. From a pure fan perspective, there is no problem. We should celebrate successes. But from a business analysis perspective, understanding these dynamics is important because they affect the long-term sustainability of the K-pop industry as we know it. The traditional K-pop model relied on companies having leverage over artists. But we're entering an era where top artists have comparable or greater leverage than companies. This fundamentally changes industry dynamics and forces adaptation from all parties involved. HYBE's dilemma with Jimin's brand power is a microcosm of a larger transformation happening in K-pop and the entertainment industry globally. Artists with strong individual brands increasingly have options and power to shape their own careers in ways that weren't possible before. This is actually a good thing for artists and for industry evolution. But it requires companies to adapt their business models, investor expectations to become more realistic, and fans to understand the complex business dynamics at play behind the music and performances we love. So to summarize, is Jimin's brand power a threat or asset for HYBE? The answer is both, simultaneously. It's an asset because it generates enormous value, raises the company profile, and demonstrates HYBE's ability to develop global superstars. It's a potential threat because it highlights structural dependencies in the business model and creates negotiating leverage that could fundamentally reshape the company's relationship with its most valuable artists. The coming years will reveal how HYBE navigates this dilemma. Will they successfully diversify while maintaining strong relationships with BTS members? Will they restructure the business model to reflect new realities of artist power? Or will they face difficult decisions about contracts, control, and company direction? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Jimin's brand power isn't going anywhere but up, and HYBE needs to evolve accordingly or risk being left behind by their own artist success. That's it for today's video, guys. This is a complex topic with no simple answers, but hopefully you now have a better understanding of the business dynamics at play. What do you think? Is this a real dilemma, or are we overthinking it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you found the analysis interesting, subscribe for more deep dives into K-pop business and industry analysis, share with fellow fans who are interested in behind-the-scenes dynamics, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, we can celebrate artist success while also understanding business complexities. Both things can be true simultaneously. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep supporting your favorites, because at the end of the day, their success is what makes all of this possible. Bora Heat.